Listen, the internet did not wake up prepared for the emotional earthquake that erupted today. One moment the timeline looked normal, and the next, it felt like every corner of social media was screaming at the same time. Because out of nowhere, Halle Bailey snapped publicly at DDG, and not in a subtle, cryptic story kind of way. No. This was the type of reaction that tells you something enormous had been brewing beneath the surface. Something private. Something messy. And the fuse finally caught fire when fans uncovered claims that DDG allegedly got India Love pregnant. The timing alone sent the digital world into a spiral that nobody could escape. All at once, screenshots exploded like confetti during a scandal parade. People dragged out old clips, questionable comments, and eyebrow-raising interactions. And then, almost like the universe was orchestrating chaos, custody documents surfaced online the very same day DDG proudly posted those prom-style photographs with India Love. The optics? Disastrous. The symbolism? Loud. And Halle Bailey? She moved like a woman who was absolutely finished watching DDG pose as some perfect online father figure while she dealt with the uncomfortable truth behind the scenes. Social media saw her silence break, and everyone instantly knew something had snapped. But what truly ignited the internet was the realization that these pregnancy whispers were not random jokes or troll-generated nonsense. They were tied to real streams, real emotional moments, and real words coming directly from India Love herself. Clips began resurfacing, clips where India spoke about wanting to start a family, about having someone in mind, about craving a partner who would never abandon her. Harmless enough at first. Until people stitched that together with another clip of her calling DDG a great father under her own post. Suddenly, the room got colder. The comments got sharper. The conspiracy boards practically built themselves. And then the internet did what it always does, it connected dots that nobody realized were dots. Because the very moment India Love posted about being ready for marriage and motherhood, fans began dropping receipts faster than anyone could refresh their screen. DDG is going to do to India what he did to Halle, people wrote. Get her pregnant, then reveal who he truly is. At first, it sounded dramatic. The internet always jumps to the wildest conclusion imaginable. But something about the timing, the posts, the pictures, the emotions, made this theory land way too neatly. Especially because DDG had uploaded those polished, prom night images with India on the exact same day that Halle Bailey's custody situation became public. That is when the narrative shifted from messy to catastrophic. The question echoing through every comment section became brutally direct: is DDG replacing Halle with an entirely new family? Halle Bailey's team kept their lips sealed, refusing to feed the fire, but Halle's next move did not need words. Her action cut deeper than any statement could have. People watched her unfollow, distance, react, and reclaim her peace in real time, and each step ignited a louder wave of speculation. And then, the moment custody news leaked, everything flipped instantly. The timeline turned into a battlefield, and the drama that began with whispers transformed into a full-scale internet meltdown that nobody can pretend away now. And listen, when Halle Bailey moves, she does not move loudly. She does not need explosions or cryptic shade. Her silence is the kind that freezes an entire timeline. So for her to take a quiet agreement, freshly signed, freshly settled, freshly meant to bring peace, and then throw that agreement into the fire by filing for custody on the very same day DDG uploaded those polished prom-style pictures with India Love? That tells you something devastating pushed her into that moment. Something private. Something sharp. Something that broke whatever patience she had left. Remember, Halle and DDG had just come out of months of dragging each other through legal filings like two people who had forgotten they once shared a home, a child, and dreams. They agreed to drop their restraining order requests. They agreed to start over. They agreed on a schedule: DDG gets Wednesdays, certain weekends, no online slander, no posting the baby for attention, no weaponizing the internet. A clean slate. But slates only stay clean until the truth scratches through. And the moment India Love shifted her entire energy online, everything Halle had held in for months snapped loose. Because India stopped acting like someone casually dating a rapper. She began speaking like a woman preparing for a household. A future. A child. She talked about wanting stability. She talked about needing someone who would always be present. She talked about wanting a family. Her sister Morgan stepped in praising DDG for being respectful and caring for India, and suddenly the comments transformed into a crime scene of speculation, theories, and heartbreak. The internet connected dots that Halle herself hoped were not real. And the moment fans resurfaced that clip, India telling DDG she loved him after he bought her a $30,000 Chanel bag, the shift became undeniable. That was not casual affection. That was "I am building a future with you" energy. That was permanence dusted in luxury. And then the heartbreak deepened. Because for an entire year, Halle Bailey hid her pregnancy from the world like a fragile piece of her soul. She hid the world from her son. She hid her son from a world she did not trust. She built a family quietly because she believed that silence meant safety. So imagine watching another woman, boldly, publicly, confidently discuss marriage, motherhood, faith, and Sunday church visits with the same man you built a secret world with. Halle did not have to speak. Her silence screamed every emotion she had bottled up. But here is the part that truly broke the internet: India did not carry herself like a girlfriend. She carried herself like a potential stepmother. And fans noticed that shift before Halle even realized what was happening. India streamed from clubs, danced on camera, got a little too close to other men until her own sister reminded her, "You are already dating DDG," which sent shockwaves through every corner of social media. The boldness, the fearlessness, the "I know exactly what I am doing" attitude, that was the moment Halle's patience fell through the floor. And then, the pregnancy rumors went from online whispers to something people started genuinely watching unfold in real time. India herself added fuel to the fire without meaning to. First, she jumped on stream claiming that God told her to create an OnlyFans to show her promiscuous path. The internet clowned her immediately. But less than 24 hours later, she was on Twitch, tired, soft-spoken, emotional, telling DDG she wanted someone who would always stay. Not playfully. Not joking. Not teasing. She spoke like someone fighting tears between breaths. Right as she trended for that vulnerability, DDG dropped 100 gifted subs to cheer her up. It should have been a cute moment. It should have been lighthearted. But India barely reacted. Her smile faded too quickly. Her voice softened again. Her energy dipped so suddenly that fans began commenting the same thing across every platform: "She looks pregnant. Her glow is different. Her emotions are swinging too fast. She looks like she wants to announce something but cannot yet." The vibe had shifted from messy drama to something deeper, something life-changing. Then came the next breadcrumb. India addressed that viral photograph of her on her knees in front of a man during a poker event. She said she was in a transition era, becoming a better version of herself. And that kind of language is used by people who feel their life closing one chapter and opening another. People who are cleaning up their image because of who they are dating. That alone would have been enough to spark theories, but then the Michael Phelps moment happened. Yes, Michael Phelps, the Olympic legend, getting unexpectedly touchy with India at that same event. Everything about her energy looked chaotic yet weirdly grounded, like someone trying to enjoy the last breath of outside freedom before stepping into something heavier, something more serious. But the clip that shook the internet to its core came straight out of Kai Cenat's Streamer University, when DDG got caught hiding in India's closet. That did not look like innocent fun. That looked like two people who were far deeper, far more entangled, far more intimate than they wanted the public to believe. Once fans saw that footage again, they dug through every India Love appearance with microscopic focus. And that is when an old thread resurfaced, a reminder that back in 2021, a woman accused India of sleeping with her husband despite knowing he was married. A reminder that patterns do not lie. A reminder that history has a habit of reappearing when the timeline gets too quiet. And that is exactly where the whispers shifted into something darker, something heavier, something that wrapped itself around the internet like a storm cloud waiting to burst. People began asking the questions nobody wanted to say out loud. Is DDG her new trophy? Is she trying to speedrun a family storyline? Why does she suddenly break down crying about needing support? What changed? Who pushed her into this new emotional space? And that is when the name Nelly slid back into the conversation, because at this point it no longer looked like India simply being India. It looked like India deliberately positioning herself as the woman ready to build a family with DDG while Halle Bailey, who already shares a child with him, was simultaneously in court fighting for custody. But the plot twist that transformed suspicion into confirmation did not come from India. It did not come from fans. It did not even come from the timing of Halle's custody filing on the very same day DDG posted those overly romantic, cinematic, Italy-styled photographs with India. The true turning point, the moment that cracked the entire internet in half, came from DDG himself. During a stream, he slipped. He tried to act calm, tried to brush off the rumors, tried to play the unbothered card. And then, unexpectedly, carelessly, his mouth moved faster than his brain. "India is my friend. We started off as close friends, then you turned into my girlfriend." He froze. His eyes snapped into the camera like he had just confessed to a crime. The internet captured that clip within seconds, and once it hit the timeline, everything clicked into place with frightening clarity. Because this was not the language of a casual link-up. This was not a soft situation. This was relationship vocabulary. This was family-building energy. And India was not hiding her end of the connection either. She nearly said, "I love you," on stream, giggling with the same playful intensity teenagers have when they fall too fast, too hard, too soon. She told him what she admired about him: he is a great father. And that was the knife that twisted deep for Halle. Because how does a woman who has never met your child begin speaking like she is already preparing to step into a parental role? But DDG did not slow down. He doubled down on everything. He let India take him to church after she spoke about feeling spiritually moved. He let her publicly broadcast their chemistry. He allowed her to call him Momo. He let her twerk on him for nearly 3 hours on stream right after claiming people wanted to destroy his career. None of this carried the shy, uncertain behavior of a new relationship. This was me and you against the world energy. This was ride or die energy. And Halle recognized that pattern too well, because she had once lived through that exact storyline before it shattered. What amplified the DDG replacing Halle theory even more was the subtlety. Every time DDG appeared with India, he talked about family, about a future, about consistency, about stability. All the things he struggled to maintain with Halle. Fans noticed it. Halle definitely noticed it. And then, to make matters worse, DJ academics jumped in and poured gasoline on the wildfire by comparing India Love to a female Stefon Diggs, and claiming Halle was spiraling because DDG would not stop making contact with her. The commentary turned brutal. The narrative turned cruel. And the deeper the internet dug, the more obvious it became that DDG was forming something that looked suspiciously like a brand new family blueprint. Halle was not going to sit quietly and watch the internet whisper that her son was being replaced. That is not the kind of pain a mother ignores. But the moment that sent the storyline into an entirely new dimension, something even DDG himself could not have predicted, came from India Love. She did not just lean into her new role. She walked into it boldly, fearlessly, almost intentionally, like she wanted the entire world to witness her transformation in real time. And the timing? The timing was cruel. Because right when the whispers became thunder, India went live discussing her new chapter. She openly spoke about wanting to start a family. She said she wanted to become a wife. She talked about God. She talked about alignment. She talked about being in a season of emotional awakening. And she said it with a softness that pulled people in, the softness of someone who is imagining a future she is already committed to in her heart. And that is what sent the internet spiraling. Because you do not casually talk about babies and marriage when you are simply dating a man who just had a child with another woman. These are not casual dreams. That is not small talk. That is the kind of language used by someone who already has a man in mind, someone already planning a future she has not signed papers for yet, someone imagining nurseries and vows and stability. Meanwhile, Halle, who spent months shielding Halo from chaos, from online narratives, from the cruelty of headlines, sat and watched the internet shift its energy. She watched India talk about wanting a committed man, a stable home, a peaceful life, and then casually mention that she already has someone specific in mind. She did not hide it. She did not soften it. She allowed the implication to sit heavy in the air. And social media did what social media always does: it dug. It stitched together old clips of DDG hiding in India's closet. It revisited footage that once seemed like harmless jokes but suddenly looked like puzzle pieces that had been quietly forming a picture. They found videos of him hugging her in clubs, leaning too comfortably, smiling too easily. They resurfaced screenshots of him flying her out for content, gifting her expensive things with suspicious frequency, and appearing in places he had no genuine reason to be unless something deeper connected them. People replayed clips of India crying on live stream, dissecting every emotional tremor, every sigh, every moment of stillness in her eyes. They rewatched her talking about needing stability, needing peace, wanting a new life. And suddenly, all those fragments stopped looking like coincidence and began forming a storyline that felt alarmingly real. For Halle, who had just endured court hearings, sleepless nights, and the emotional weight of protecting her child's entire future, this online whirlwind was a slap in the face. Because how does the same internet that praised her as a strong new mother now pivot into comparing her son to a hypothetical future child with another woman? Even if it was only speculation, even if nothing was confirmed, the hurt was real. The disrespect was sharp. The timing was unforgiving. And the shift in public energy was undeniable. It felt like an audience that had just finished applauding Halle suddenly turned away to whisper about India Love, about her future, her dreams, her potential motherhood. And the truth is, even the strongest woman feels something crack inside when the man she once loved becomes the center of new rumors, new romances, new storylines that overlap the timeline she fought so hard to heal from. What made everything explode even further was the way the internet started psychoanalyzing every single breath India Love took, like she had suddenly become a walking mystery for TikTok detectives. Old prank videos resurfaced, clips where she joked about being pregnant, clips where she faked twin pregnancy tests with 2 different fathers, videos that once made people laugh, but now those same clips were being dissected like forensic evidence in a courtroom. Nobody found them funny anymore. Nobody brushed them off as harmless content. Instead, people were zooming into her expressions, slowing down her blinking, watching the way her hand hovered over her stomach, analyzing every time her eyes drifted downward. Every hoodie became a potential disguise. Every baggy shirt sparked a new theory. Every quiet moment, every emotional dip, every shift in tone, someone on the internet folded it into a pregnancy symptom. And the strangest part? None of it confirmed anything. There was no ultrasound photo floating around. There was no doctor appointment caught by paparazzi. No soft-life maternity photo shoot hidden behind aesthetic filters. No official announcement. Nothing grounded. But when the internet decides it wants a storyline, it builds a universe out of smoke, and that is exactly what happened here. The theories grew faster than any truth could. Speculation, once again, outran reality. But the speculation was not fueled by India alone. It was everything happening at once: the emotional live streams, the timing with Halle's custody filing, the resurfaced closet and club clips, and above all, DDG slip-up. The man who built a career blurring the line between trolling and truth forgot for one moment that the internet hears everything, remembers everything, and will replay everything. He said just enough to make the entire world pause. He did not confirm anything, but the tone, the wording, the hesitation, it stitched the puzzle pieces together in a way that made people believe this was not a coincidence anymore. It sounded like a man who accidentally revealed he had been living in a different chapter long before the internet caught up. And when you put everything side by side, India's emotional confessionals, her spiritual rebirth talk, her whispers about motherhood, DDG's suspicious comments, the synchronized timing with Halle's legal battle, what emerged was a narrative far more powerful than the truth. Because truth is slow. Speculation sprints like it has somewhere urgent to be. And the internet always chooses speed over accuracy. Every single time. But the part that left people heartbroken was Halle's silence. She did not lash out. She did not post cryptic messages. She did not throw sarcasm into her captions. She did not go live crying or defending herself. She did the thing exhausted women do when they have been carrying too much for too long: she went still. And that silence carried more weight than any statement ever could. People noticed how she began moving differently. She unfollowed quietly. Her captions changed. Her eyes in recent photos looked heavier, softer, guarded. Her energy was different, protecting her peace with a level of caution that only comes from deep emotional bruising. Meanwhile, India glowed more. She posted more. She laughed more. She spoke more. And DDG, he moved through the chaos like a man who had already detached months before everyone else caught on. That casual calm he carried only made everything feel more real. Because men only behave that calmly when they are either completely numb to the backlash, or when their heart left the previous situation long before the breakup was public. People started saying exactly that the timing did not mark the beginning of anything, but the moment the internet finally became aware of what had been happening behind closed doors for a very long time. But here is the part most people ignore: even if none of this is true, even if